So quick recap, I'm Jem, this is Izzy. We're both inbound consultants at AbleQuest, and we're going to be talking you through creating the foundations for content strategy. Cool, so let's get started. Oh, one final thing is we will be giving probably 10-15 minutes to questions at the end. So if you do have any questions, note them down or ask them in the chat pane. We'll also be getting people to put their hand up. There's a feature in here that you can do that at the end. So keep those questions in mind and we can answer them at the end. Okay, so what can you expect from the next hour? First of all, we're going to look through why topics could be the key to your content success. So introducing that new idea of topic clusters, as I mentioned before. Looking at how you can actually start to build out your strategy for content. We'll then go into ways you can involve the rest of your business in content creation, which we know can be quite a challenge sometimes. And as I said, we'll also give some time for questions at the end as well. So this is why topics could be the key to your content success. Cheesy image of a key, that's not my fault. Late at night putting slides together, that's what you get. Okay, so before you even start looking at topic clusters or any of this advice coming out from HubSpot and other people out there, you need to really make sure you've got some crucial foundations in place. Of course, first of all, I'm talking about personas, which can be central to everything you do in your marketing. I'm also talking about the buyer's journey, so making sure you understand that you're talking to someone at the right time and giving them the right pieces of information, and then also a content audit. We're going to delve into each of these a bit more closely. I know some of you probably know a lot of these quite in depth, have definitely done them, and you're probably sat there going, why are you going over this again? But it's worth covering just in case there are people out there who haven't, and there's certainly, you may have not covered all elements of these. So, personas. Everything you do needs to start with your buyer personas. You need to consider what your personas are looking for and where they're looking for it. So that may seem really simple, but actually when you delve into it, what you first assume might not actually be true. For your personas, it's always worth doing the research and really trying to find that out. And after looking into those areas, you'll find that you have some relevant content ideas that they'll actually be able to find easily. Of course, not all of your personas will want to read a long article. It's also worth considering the format of what you're putting out there. They may find it easier to digest an infographic or watch a video. People are poor on time or have a shorter attention span, as so many of us do these days. It can be really difficult to commit to a 2,000-word article if you have not very much time.
Yeah, and you'll also want to consider specifically where. So if it is in the form of a video, for example, most searches now take place on YouTube, which is a bit crazy. So if you are doing video, make sure that you put it on YouTube or another video platform just so that it gets found easier. You really need to be where your personas are.
Yeah, and I think linking to that is also not for this webinar, but actually if you're on social media as well, something we always tell people is go where your personas are with that as well. Don't just feel like you have to do Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, everything. It may be that your personas are only on LinkedIn, or it may be that they're predominantly only on Facebook. By doing that research, you can really hone what you're looking at and make your marketing more effective without draining your resources. Ooh, jumped ahead there. So mapping the buyer's journey. Most of us probably seen this diagram before, looking at the awareness, consideration, and decision stage. And there's lots of articles out there which go into this in more depth. But basically, you need to make sure that you have content for each of these stages to make sure that you're talking to your prospects at the right point in their journey, no matter where they join. So you need to make sure that you have correct conversion paths in place to guide them through that journey. Whether that's a guide at the awareness stage or maybe a checklist to help them consider their options, and then an offer to help them decide whether you're the right person to go for or whether there's another option that they need to consider as well. Your prospects should be able to progress to the next stage regardless of where they start. So a lot of them may come to you having already done a lot of the awareness stage research and may come to you at the consideration stage. So you need to just be aware that people won't be with you for the whole cycle. Just need to make it easy to go through it from there.
Yeah, and you should also make sure that you're linking to each stage as well. So if someone lands on a blog post, you need to make sure that you're linking back to the awareness stage piece and also to the decision stage piece as well.
So, and finally, content audit. So this is something that we always do when we first start working with our customers. It basically is a great way to get a really big overview of everything in your business and helps to uncover some content you already have that might be working really well. Looking at that content which might need a bit of tweaking or even deleting. It might be an award you won 5 years ago that's not giving you any value and is just adding another blog to your site and making it a bit heavier. It can also uncover new content opportunities. So it might be that a piece has not been working well and you can get some ideas for other things you could, like other formats you could do to revive that content. Or it could be that something's been working really well and you could do an offshoot piece or turn that blog post into a video or a download. So it's always worth looking at those. We'd recommend that you aim to do a content audit once a year to include all marketing and sales material. That's a really important one. So although most of you, I'm sure, are probably sat in marketing, sales have a huge amount of material that they're sending out to people on a daily basis, and making sure you delve into that can really give you some insight into things that you can be involving into your own marketing as well.
Yeah.
And remember to document everything. So we have a template that we have that's actually up on our resource section of our website that can guide you through documenting all of your content audit, but just having it all in one place so you can then plan what else you're going to do over the next year and sort of plan in those changes as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now you've got all of that in place, you've got kind of the core foundations. There are obviously a lot of other things that are involved in a strategy, but for today we're going to typically talk about topics. So now consider that your content is sat in this internet that looks a little bit like a really old-fashioned crammed full library, except it perhaps isn't as easy to go at because you've not got a Dewey Decimal System or something like that. You've got Google, which up till now has only been surfacing those results that people have engineered to get to the top, but in recent years that's become a lot more different. It's changed so that it's more natural. People are getting to the top that perhaps aren't just putting the same keywords into their title. Often you might find a result where what you typed isn't even in the title, isn't even in the URL. So as a marketer, we want to be looking at actually getting found. You want to make sure that in that huge amount of content out there, your prospects are actually finding you. So that takes us on to something Izzy's going to talk about.
Yeah, so now it's very difficult to get found organically on Google or any other search engine. Their algorithms have changed significantly over the last 10 or so years, and a lot of the time you really have to work hard at your keyword research, making sure you really know your personas, but sometimes that's still not enough. Okay, so we just put a little graphic up here of how Google has changed over time. On the next slide, I think we've got something about RankBrain, and RankBrain is Google's AI. So it forms part of the main algorithm, but it basically searches based on intent. So it's learning all the time. It's learning how you say things. It's learning how, most of the time when we search Google, we're asking questions, and that is what Google is trying to understand what you mean by what you're asking. So, okay. So those of you who have HubSpot probably noticed this over the last 3 years or so.
Yeah, or even Google Analytics as well. So.
Yeah. So Google have really locked down what they're letting you see. So we're no longer able to see specific search results, the exact keywords that people are typing, unless people are searching through Bing or another one, Yahoo still do. But it's quite likely that they'll follow suit fairly soon. So it's really, really difficult. And like Gem's put on the slide, Google want us to have a sixth sense as marketers, and that's really hard to do. Yeah, so a bit about RankBrain in there as well. A lot of this, yeah, here we go, Gem's favourite emoji.
Got to have it in there somewhere. Got to sneak in a sneaky emoji somewhere.
So RankBrain will have a massive implication for voice search. It's trying to learn how we say things, and I'm guessing most of us are British. We have a lot of funny sayings for things that people might not understand. a lot of colloquialisms, a lot of idioms, but Google is getting much better at understanding those and pointing us in the right direction.
Yep, so this brings us on to introducing topic clusters, which is something that HubSpot have been talking about a lot recently. They first started really speaking about it at Inbound, their big conference Inbound last year. And it's again been a big topic this year as well. We'll get onto the tool that they've actually brought out to help with it anyway, but we'll start with a quick overview of it. So topic clusters focus around having a core pillar page, which acts as a hub of content for a topic. So that's this big circle in the middle. It's then wrapped in multiple related subtopic pages, like all the triangles, squares, etc., all relating to different types of media that are all linked off of that central pillar page. And like I just mentioned, linking to that pillar page is a key part of this topic clusters. So having that bi-directional link between the pillar page and the subtopic pages just starts to create that hub of a specific topic, with the aim of helping you to become an authority on that. So my favorite example I always use, if you are a cybersecurity company, one of the areas you might want to gain recognition in, it might be ransomware. So you might look at ransomware as a core topic in the middle, and then going around that you might have another article about training end users so that they aren't letting in ransomware attacks, or another one being like the type of technology you could introduce for that as well. So that's a quick example.
Yeah, Google will try to surface results that it thinks that you need, and it will also pull up stuff that you probably haven't thought of. I don't know if any of you have got to page 3 on Google and it goes, hold on a minute, you might want to be searching this instead. And it's trying to give you suggestions, not only to help its own learning, but also to help you get to the answer quicker.
Yeah. So what makes a great pillar page? That central page in the middle. So typically, first of all, actually, a lot of what we're going to cover today is still relatively new, this topic. Going into topic clusters is a new thing that people are trying. There aren't lots of stories about how people have got this to work, particularly for them. This is something that is going to keep evolving over time. It's something that everyone is moving towards to some extent, and probably has been for a few years, trying to start to speak to what people are searching for rather than just the rankings. But it's, again, something that's evolving. So you might read something on here that you've not read somewhere else, or it might contradict something else. I think still people are learning about this, and it's not an exact science. A lot of it is just knowing what works for you and your business and your customers, and just tweaking it and tailoring it over time to see what works for you. So that's kind of a disclaimer on this.
Yeah, it's likely you'll go through lots of iterations before you get results.
But that's the same with anything.
Yeah, like SEO is a bit hit and miss a lot of the time. You can get really good at it, but then a week will go past and you'll be at the bottom again. It's a constant battle. But
great thing about this is, I think, even if it's that iterative process to get it to a point where you're ranking better as a result, all of this work that we're going to talk about is actually going to help you talk to your customers in a better way. So it's more of a natural way. So even if you need to also add in some other SEO techniques, the actual way you'll be speaking and structuring your content will just be better for your end users in the end.
Yeah, and by doing that, Google will reward you anyway, because that's where it wants to get to.
Yeah. So what makes a great pillar page? Typically, it has a content section at the top for easy navigation. This is going to be quite a bulky page on your website, so making it easy to go through as a consumer is going to make it a lot better in terms of engagement and lowering your bounce rate as well. You need to make sure that you're broadly covering the topic you're focusing on, and that also there's a conversion point on there. So it might be that you talk about all the different facets of inbound marketing, for example. That's one of ours. So if you're covering marketing automation and nurture sequences and content and all those different things, you need to broadly cover it and then have that conversion point to the bottom, which might be download a guide for the top 10 things you can do now to start with inbound marketing, something like that. And making sure that you're linking to that subtopic content in there as well. This is an example of a pillar page that HubSpot have. It's their Facebook marketing page. You'll see that at the top, under Facebook marketing there, they have a navigation bar that talks about the different elements they're going to give an overview of in this article. And then within the actual text, they have links. They have external links in there as well, but hidden in there are the links to their subtopic pages. So it's giving the end user the option to go away from the page and investigate the specific area they're interested in more depth at any point they want.
Yeah, you've also got the social sharing icons at the top as well, just to help you get that message a little further.
Yeah. So I really like this quote that HubSpot put out recently. If you're trying to get the page you're working on to rank for a long tail keyword, it's not a pillar page. If the page you're working on explores a very narrow topic in great depth, it's not a pillar page. If the page you're working on touches on many aspects of a broad topic, it's probably a pillar page. So that's just making sure that you're not going down a bit of a rabbit hole. That's probably more a subtopic page. If you're really focusing in on a topic in more depth, you just need to make sure it's a bit of an umbrella page, just kind of looking at it in a broader scope.
Yeah, and at a very high level as well. So you've got the option to explore more, but it should be in depth enough that you can get what you need from it, but to also go elsewhere if you need further clarification.
Yeah. So what makes a great subtopic page? Basically, this is where you utilize those long tail keywords. This is where your keyword research will help you to bring out those keywords, because it is still necessary to do keyword research just to see what your customers are actually searching for. Typically, we would suggest that you look at doing 5 to 10 subtopics for each pillar page. You can expand that over time, but we just say that because it will, more than that, could help make you lose focus, and you'd end up with a pretty overcrowded pillar page.
Yeah, it could be quite easy to lose track of as well, especially when you're tying it all together. Keeping track of those links can be quite difficult when you have a lot of different articles.
Yeah. So if you've got a really long pillar page, like HubSpot have got for that Facebook marketing one, you might have more than 5 to 10. But to begin with, I would start with that smaller number and just build out from there. Make sure that you're using synonyms on the page. Don't fall into the trap of keyword stuffing. Whilst you're using those long tail keywords, just think of different ways of saying it. You don't need to reiterate the same set of words over and over for Google to understand what you're saying, or any other search engine.
And make it more conversational as well. So shorten in words. Think about how people would ask that question.
Yeah, I mean, when I write blog posts, I typically write how I speak, and I'll actually even read it out loud. It might make me look a bit weird, but it works. It helps you to understand if you're saying something that doesn't sound very natural, and that's where those synonyms can come in. We don't say the same set of words over and over again in daily life, so it works the same in our posts as well. And make sure you include your focus topic in your metadata, so your URL, involving it somewhere in your title, in your meta description, just making sure that for Facebook marketing, for example, make sure it's clear that you're talking about Facebook in all of those things. It might seem like a logical thing to do, but a lot of people won't be doing this. And remember, going back to that point earlier, it doesn't need to be a blog post. Like, think of those personas, try to involve different types of media, infographics. Video is a huge thing at the moment. It was everywhere at Inbound 2017, as we spoke about in our webinar last week. And just maybe put a video up, put a text underneath. Moz do their weekly Whiteboard Friday, where they have their video that Rand Fishkin talks through a specific topic, and they put the whole transcript underneath. So it's giving the person the option to read it or to watch the video. Both can work.
Yeah, and it also saves you a lot of time as well, just being able to repurpose that content in a different format. So by the end of the video, you'll have a slide deck, you'll have the video itself and the transcript, not to mention like the video stills that you can repurpose for social media. So it'll really help you as a marketer just get more stuff done.
Yeah. And here are some examples that HubSpot have got for their subtopic pages. So both of these come off of that main topic page, and they just go into a bit more depth. So the HubSpot strategy tool, I'm just going to touch on this briefly because there's lots of information out there about it already, and we're going to send a list of resources out after this with the recording just to delve into it a bit more depth yourself. But if you have HubSpot, if you go into content in your navigation, you'll see that there's a new strategy section to it. When you go into there, you can create your topic clusters in there. So here you can see one of ours that we started building out in there as an example. You've got HubSpot as that central topic page where we've got an overview of all the different elements that we'll be delving into. You can then see where there has been a connection, where there's the green symbolises where there's actually an article attached to that, and then the link between the two shows they've been linked together. We've also got one on there evaluating HubSpot that isn't linked, so that shows that we need to go in there and link that together.
Yeah, so that one is a draft. So the tool itself will, when you're going through, it will suggest articles based on that keyword that you've put in for your subtopic, and you can add them in. If the link isn't there, then you know that you need to go back and finish it.
Cool. So how to build your topic clusters and involve them in your strategy. I think we're going to go through this relatively quickly. There's a lot in there, but remember we are going to sending the slides out, so you probably don't need to take notes in this section. We're going to send a lot of information out about it and other useful things that you can use to build them out as well. But to go through it quickly.
Okay, so when you're starting out, you need to identify what your main topics are. Typically, if you're B2B, I'd suggest doing your products or services, especially if they're quite different in what you do. Then you need to look at your buyer personas and see what they might be searching for, like all of the relevant information that they need to know about that specific topic. And then build out your content audit based on what you've already got. And then just start filling in the ideas as well.
Yeah, so there are lots of different places you can try and identify these main topics. People have asked me before, what are they meant to be on? You could do it on your core product, you could do it on core problems that your buyer persona has, or it could be that you've got a clear topic that you've been talking about for ages that comes up in your content audit, and just pick those out and just run with them, really.
Yeah. So a good example for us would be like, we have a pillar page about inbound marketing, and the things that surround that could be how much does it cost, how do you get started, why you might want to work with an agency, what are the benefits of not, or the cons. What else have we got?
And we've also got
loads.
Yeah, loads of stuff that goes around it. But it's just trying to understand those core topics and just seeing where you can hone in on. You then need, so this is now going into the subtopics. You then need to think for each pillar topic, what are the at least 8 subtopics that you can put around that will help you stay focused. So like Izzy was just saying, those things that sit around inbound marketing, how can we uncover those? You can always add more later, but to begin with, trying to get 8 is a really good idea. You can do keyword research. We'll go into that a bit more in another slide. You could speak to others in your business to understand common questions. You could use the strategy tool in HubSpot, which actually does, as Izzy said, give you suggestions. You might find that there's some overlap between topics, and that's fine. You can involve them in more than one topic cluster. Like I said, this isn't a fine art. Just make sure that you're covering the right things that are useful and relevant for your personas. Yeah. So involve as many people in the process as possible. I don't think we can iterate this enough. There's just so much value to be found in going out to the rest of your business and trying to get the sales team, customer services, just anyone who interacts with anyone outside of your business. They can be a gold mine for information. So just make sure you're involving as many people in the process as possible. I'm actually got a section at the end where we'll just go through that as well.
And also reach out to your customers and your prospects as well. They know probably better than you do what they need. So just worth asking them, what would you find useful? How can we improve? What else can we add?
Yeah. Once you've got these ideas, you've got your core topics, you've got the subtopics that are sitting around them, you need to start validating your ideas. So it's all well and good as plucking things out of the air and thinking, yeah, this is what we should be writing about. But you do still need to consider things like search volume, using something like a cool tool like Keywords Everywhere. Look at what your competitors are doing as well, just to make sure that you're not completely going off on a tangent. And then use Google. So Izzy, do you want to go through some of the things people can use Google for?
Yeah, so on the next slide, yeah, so that will help you. So I'm sure you've all seen these on Google. Google is an amazing resource for finding out keywords and what people are searching for. The one at the top is the autocomplete. So type in a keyword and then it will suggest other things that people have searched for. You've also got the people also ask box. If you type in a question, it will give you more suggestions as well. And at the bottom, related search, you can see the number of searches and how much it costs for PPC and the difficulty rating. This is a feature of Keywords Everywhere. It's a really useful Chrome extension, and it just tells you all of that information for every search that you put in. It's really useful.
Yeah, really good way of quickly understanding if you've gone completely off. If no one is searching for any of the things you're looking at, then you might need to tweak them a bit. But like we can see here, there's quite a lot that we can be doing around content strategy, for example. Okay, so prioritize. There is a lot here. If you've got, say, even 3 core topics, so you've got 3 core product offerings that you want to go around, that's still a lot of content to get that core page and the subtopics around it. What we would suggest doing, and what we've been doing with a lot of people recently, is just pick one main topic to start with. Choose the product, for example, that you want to push the most this year, the one that your sales team are wanting the most leads from. Pick that, build it out, get those subtopics in place, learn from it, and then do another one. Don't try and do everything at once, because it's not possible and you'll get complete brain overload and it will not work well.
Yeah.
Just take it a little bit at a time and that'll work well for you. Don't forget your existing content. So that's what we did the content audit for. Make sure that you're leveraging existing content for quick results. If you've got blog posts that are perfectly good, don't just create new ones because you're doing this topic cluster approach. Involve them in it. Like Izzy said earlier, the HubSpot strategy tool will suggest relevant content that you've already got for the pillar topic and subtopics based on your keywords, including those draft pages. But if you haven't got HubSpot, just look at your content audit, consider what you've already got and see how that can fit into your plan. Auto clustering is a great way to get started with this and to really learn from it. So if you have a topic that you've done a lot on already, use that as your first cluster, map it out, fill in the gaps, and then link it all together and start tracking it to see how it makes a difference to your business. Create a 6 to 12 month content plan. So like we just said, this is going to be a lot of work. So get a plan in place to make sure that you're going to do it effectively and it's not going to drain your resources.
Yeah, so you need to have a look at your content audit, start planning out, identify the gaps that you'll need to schedule in more time to create these articles, but also, if you've got articles that just need a quick tweak and they're quick wins, get that in there as well and you get it started straight away. Posting wise, this really does depend on your business and going back to your personas as well. We usually recommend doing 2 to 4, so either 2 blogs a month or 1 every week. But just remember that these need to be really good quality, long form, like well-researched articles, well over 1,000 words. And also, when you're going through this, schedule time in your calendar and also calendars, like your colleagues' calendars if you need them to do the work for you, just to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I think one of the things, going back to that, making sure that just depending on your business, we actually just do 1 blog a month. We have other resources that come out, but our blog just has 1 a month. And that's because we've done the research, we figured out that there is too much out there about marketing. So we decided to do 1 longer form, thoroughly researched article a month. Whereas there are clients that we have that do 1 every week or 1 every other week. Just really test what works for your business and see how you can get that really honed over time.
And just remember, like the content plan is not, what's the word?
It's not set. It can be flexible. So if you bring out a new product by all means, just edit your content plan. Don't just be like, I'm sticking to the plan. That's not a good idea. Just be flexible and be able to change it over time. I'd suggest probably make sure you're working a month ahead. So just start working on the content the month before it's going out. There's no need to work like 6 months in advance unless you have a big event that you're not going to have time to work on your content. Just leave room to be flexible.
And review it regularly as well. If something's not working, you need to be flexible enough to be able to change it. If something really important comes in, then you need to be able to move things around.
So linking it all together, this is, like I said earlier, really important for the topic clusters kind of strategy within your content strategy. You need to make sure that you're using, this is if you have HubSpot, you're using the strategy tool and a spreadsheet to keep track. If you don't have HubSpot, just get a spreadsheet in place to start tracking it and making sure that you've linked everything together. Your pillar page should always link to each of your subtopics using anchor text. So the text on the link should really make sense for what you're linking through to. And then each of the subtopics should link back to the pillar page as well, so that you've got all of that connection on your site. So Google is recognizing that all of this is related and that you're really an authority on that topic. Text-based links work the best here, we found. If you're just hyperlinked text, rather than making sure you've got CTAs all over the place. A lot of people now seem to be glazing over when it comes to just call to actions at the bottom of blog posts or something like that. So insert these links into your actual post as hyperlinks, so it's natural within the text, and people's natural curiosity will think, oh, that's quite an interesting topic, I want to delve into that more. And we know what a hyperlink is, we'll click on it if we want to know more. So they work the best. But again, test that for your business. But we're finding that text-based links are working better.
So you also need to make sure that your pillar pages can be found. So that's putting them in your navigation on your website. Just making sure that they're all linked, you can find them. It's really easy for someone to navigate to that page from anywhere on your site. You also want to make sure that they are fully optimized for search engines. Even though I said that it was very difficult, there's 3 little things that you can do to each one that just give you a good start. So making sure that the keyword that you're going for features in the title and the page header, so your H tags. You also want to put it in your meta description. A good trick with meta descriptions is to use the format of a question and answer. So a lot of ours will be, are you looking for XYZ? Are you struggling with? Are you frustrated with? Want to know more about, etc., etc. And then follow up saying this article looks at, etc., etc., etc. And then add in a little dot at the end. Google will do this automatically and will cut you off. But if you put it in there yourself, it kind of creates intrigue almost. So a lot of ours you'll find will say and ... It just kind of encourages people to click a little bit more.
It's kind of like clickbait, but nicer. If someone's like, I'm going to tell you the secret to ... then it's like, oh, I want to know the secret. I want to find out. So yeah, that's a nice little trick to use.
And also make sure it's in your URL as well. You can get rid of all of like the ands and tos and those little words that aren't really relevant, but make sure that you've got your proper keywords in there.
Yeah, I think putting it in your navigation as well, whilst that is advice at the moment, I've actually noticed that, for example, that Facebook page on HubSpot isn't in their navigation. I really want to pick someone's brain at HubSpot about this. Can't figure out who to speak to. If someone at HubSpot sees this, please tell me who I can speak to about it. But I think personally that it's probably just making sure that it's accessible. So if their Facebook marketing page is something that is regularly found in search and everything like that, then it's still very easily accessible. For our websites and a lot of yours, you want to make sure that your users can find what you want them to look at and find what's relevant to them. So make that user journey really good on your site. User experience is a huge element of websites that we need to be aware of. And I think putting it in your navigation is just a kind of foolproof way of getting it in there and making sure that it's easily found. Review, measure, and iterate. So we can't talk about iteration and measuring enough. This is really important for your marketing these days. It's all about that flexibility and making sure you're keeping up to date with what you're learning from your marketing, with all the tools you have for metrics and tracking these days, specifically through HubSpot also. You have no excuse for not learning from your marketing. So you need to be regularly checking articles for relevance and making changes to keep them up to date. If you would, for example, we have a blog post out at the moment that is about topic clusters, and we were talking about the webinar in it. Once this webinar is finished, we need to make sure that's up to date and that it links to something else useful. Otherwise, people are still going to be signing up for this webinar in a few months, and it's not going to be there. So yeah, just keeping it up to date. Also, a great trick for this we've actually got from HubSpot's historical optimization project, which we'll send a link out about, is change the publish date and add a "this has been updated" note, so an editor's note or something. It firstly tells Google that you've updated it and it's fresh content through that publish date, but it also tells your user that you're paying attention to this content, that you're not just throwing it out there and then forgetting about it. You're updating it and keeping track of it.
Yeah. And the date also displays in search results as well. So typically speaking, most people will click on a more relevant article, even if it isn't at the top of the results page.
Yeah. Make sure you're tracking how you're performing. So just make sure that those pages are getting viewed. If you've got no views on your pillar page, there is something going wrong, because people should be finding it and going out to those subtopic pages. Just figure out what's going wrong. Try and change things over time. Just test it and just see what works for your business. Every business is different. All these articles that tell you exactly what you should be doing. No one can follow every step and get the same results. It's completely dependent on your business and sector. Consider alternative media. We keep coming back to this, but can your popular content be repurposed? Can you make an infographic out of something that isn't working as a blog? Try those. And if you've got HubSpot, keep an eye on the strategy tool, because it will learn over time. It will learn what your authority ranking is. It will help you to get ideas for content you could be writing, and it's a great way to learn. I think this tool will just grow over time.
Yeah.
HubSpot are really investing in AI with their they've recently acquired Motion AI. So I think related to that, the strategy tool has got AI in it, so they're constantly evolving it, and it will be getting better over time.
Yeah, and it's only been around for about a year, if
mostly in beta as well.
Yeah, so now that everyone's got it, it's really going to start finding out what works. It'll learn a lot quicker now that more people are using it, so it should start.
Yeah, so you'll start
getting
really
better.
Seeing results. That's what I mean when we need to look at what's coming out over the next few months, because there will be new data and stuff on this from all the testing that's been going on for the last year. Coming soon to HubSpot, which is in beta at the moment. We're part of the beta program. You can be as well. You can apply for that. Just look up HubSpot beta program and you can become a part of it and get a lot of the new tools and toys that are coming out of HubSpot, which is quite exciting. So you'll be able to track the performance of each cluster from visits to conversions. You'll be able to look at the bounce rate for an entire cluster for each page that sits underneath it. So this can really help you to give that insight and improve marketing results, because after all, we really want customers. That's like the end goal. So knowing whether your content is working towards that can be great, and reporting this back to the business can be just brilliant. It will save you so much time.
Yeah, definitely. There's also campaigns as well. So a new campaign reporting tool coming out, I think next quarter, one quarter after. That is currently available in beta as well, but that will allow you to see new contacts that you've created from campaigns, but also existing contacts that have been influenced by those campaigns' assets, which is really useful to see. But for now, if you've not got it, I would suggest creating a campaign in HubSpot for each of your pillar pages, your clusters.
Each cluster, just have it as a campaign. We're currently trying to get HubSpot to do sub campaigns, but it's not working yet. Hopefully they will at some point. But yeah, do a campaign for it for now and wait for that topic cluster. If you don't have HubSpot, using Google Analytics to understand, maybe consider your URL structure to involve that cluster or something, so you can group it and look at the results in Google Analytics. Okay, this last section is going to have to be quick so we can have questions. But Izzy's going to talk us through and I will no doubt interject because I can't sit and not talk for 5 minutes. Ways to involve the rest of your business in content creation. It can be a massive hassle, and it can be a real struggle. Like, we all know this, even in a business that sells marketing, just trying to
getting anything out of sales sometimes is
can be difficult. Yeah. But they are good, they're wonderful, but still,
we do love them, in case they're listening.
Probably not.
So probably the best thing that I've done personally, so before I joined BabelQuest, I was a content marketing manager at a software company, and we were trying to introduce the idea of content marketing to the business. It was quite closed off to marketing, kind of didn't really see the point in it. So we put together a workshop that we did it over lunchtime, so it wasn't a whole day thing. I think we scheduled out a couple of hours. We got some pizza in, we bought drinks and snacks, and we asked everyone to think about all of the questions that they get asked, from the support team, from the customer success people, sales, literally everyone in the business. We asked them to make a massive long list of everything that they got asked on a regular basis, but also things that they would want to know if they were a customer. Your sales team and your customer success team will probably be the best place to suggest those, but anyone in the business can do it. Anybody will probably have been in contact with one of your prospects or customers at some point. So
get everyone stood up in the room, putting post-its on the wall. Like, you don't have to sit them all around a table and make them write out a list, because they'd probably be a bit more averse to doing that. Like, making it fun, making it, stick up ideas up on the board, and try and group them, or just make it interesting and a bit more of a kind of proactive session rather than just tying them to a desk for an hour.
Run competitions, like really get them excited about it, but also make sure that you get across why they're doing it and how it will not only benefit the company, but it'll also make their jobs a lot easier. Okay. And then aside from the workshop, you can also trawl through emails from your sales guys and customer success as well. It's likely that there will be absolutely hundreds, if not thousands, of customer questions in there. A lot of those will probably be the same. So if they're like short answer questions, you might want to think about creating an FAQ area on your website. So if someone comes to the site, they can quickly navigate there and then find the answer to the question, and get it answered themselves, rather than taking time to try and find it. You also want to encourage everyone to get into the habit of collecting questions. Chris and Eric here now record their calls that they have with prospects, so they can go back and capture those so that we can use that in our marketing. That's really useful. And they use Sales Pro as well. And if you have a customer success team, I'd encourage them to do that as well.
Yeah, I think just getting these ideas is just going to create loads more, either a new topic that you've never thought of, or it's going to just bring out new subtopics, articles that you've actually probably got a lot of the content sat there in emails that you can just quickly put together something new and get it published. It can be a really quick way of getting something. And also, if it's come from a sales team or customer services email, they're probably going to be a bit more invested in it because they see the value, they see that you're actually listening to them and trying to help them answer those questions. They're probably more likely to send it out as well.
Yeah, and ultimately this is going to really help your prospects and your customers, and that's all really what we want to do.
Yeah.
We want to help people, we want to help them to buy from us, or just help them with what we do.
I can do this. You can do it. That one. You can all read it anyway. So you can schedule regular meetings to align marketing and sales content. So rather than pestering them with loads of emails, just block something in once a month, once every other week or something, that just as a quick question, is there anything else you'd like us to create? And just to make sure that they're not sat there creating content. There was a stat a couple of years ago that was that salespeople spend a lot of their time, I can't remember how much, it might have been like 60% of their time creating content, which seems ridiculous considering they've got a whole website of blogs they probably just haven't even looked at.
Yeah.
So just aligning that, and if they're saying, I'm finding myself writing the same thing all the time, or I've had to create this, and you're like, there is a blog on that on the website, then it's going to help them and you, because they'll be sending more people to the website.
Yeah, and I'd also suggest setting up an SLA between sales and marketing teams, just so that you both know what you're responsible for, and you can hold each other accountable as well. So just some things to ask them, what would help them do their jobs better? If they get the same question that crops up every single time, could you create an email template that will cover off everything that prospect or customer needed to know? Can you automate things? So using Sales Pro, you can create sequences which people can just fire off.
If you can put links to your blog posts in that, even better. Our sales team do that. They've got specific articles that they know, because we've told them exist, and they've got them linked in sequences already. So they fire them off to people for specific reasons, whether they've lost touch with them or something like that. Then it's getting your content out there in a template as well. Okay, we dashed through that just in time for questions. If anyone has questions, then either you can type it in the chat pane, or you can, in the corner, you can raise your hand. So if you look at the participants, and there's a bit at the bottom that says raise hand. If you raise your hand, then we can unmute you and you can ask a question. If you don't want to talk, then just write it in the chat pane. Or if no one has any questions. I'm surprised no one has any questions. If they don't, I had a question emailed to me by someone who couldn't make the session. Let me just go in and have a look at these questions. Okay, so someone asked me, there's a couple of questions that we covered already. Someone asked, should you not link outside of a topic cluster? So if you've got a page that's your pillar page, should you just link to things that are within that cluster, so just subtopics that you've defined? I'd say no. You're going to need some external links in there as well. Make sure they're relevant, obviously, so you're not just randomly putting articles in there. But if you've got links to other areas of your website that aren't specifically in your cluster, you can still link to them as long as it's relevant. As long as it's helping the end user, you keep linking away.
Yeah, and also, I suppose if you're working with a complementary company that offers services that sit well with yours, you might want to include links back to their website, and it should, in theory, help both of you out. If someone goes to them and they have a link back to your site, it's complementary services.
Yeah.
Useful.
We've got a hand up. We've also got a question come in the chat pane as well. Does a website have to be fully integrated into HubSpot for clusters to work? We only have the blog integrated. So the good news is you don't actually even have to have HubSpot for clusters to work. Just map them out in a spreadsheet, on a piece of paper, whatever. Just track those links that way. It will still work. It's just not something that's integral to HubSpot. I'm not sure which type of HubSpot you have.
The tool
itself, it depends what level of HubSpot you have. I think it's definitely in HubSpot Pro and Enterprise. Oh, okay. I know you are. No, you don't have to have the whole website integrated. If you're in a Pro application or above, you don't have to have the rest of your website integrated. You can just linking it together through that tool. I'm not sure it will pick up other pages, but you can at least track your subtopics. So if you want to, you can definitely still use the sub strategy section. If you want to email me about it, or I'll speak to you after, then I can go through it as well. We've got someone putting their hand up. I just unmute you. Oh, do I have to do it? I think we have to do it on this screen, which is useful. Just stop sharing screen. I think we've just unmuted you, Saka, so you can ask your question if you want.
Yeah, can you hear me, or shall I type it?
You can speak away, so everyone can hear it then as well, and we can help answer.
Hi all. I'm from India, so it's good afternoon to you people. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
So my question is related to the HubSpot tool that we use and the website that we are into. So what happens whenever we have this landing pages creations, that CMS through HubSpot, it creates subdomain, and because of that, I just want to clarify whether it affects the SEO perspective of our main domain. Say for example, our company is processmap.com, and once we create any kind of landing pages, it is ehs.processmap, anything which is inside HubSpot which we create. So what kind of weightage it will gives us in terms of SEO perspective?
So as far as Google's concerned, as long as you still have that main domain in your subdomain, it will know that they're linked together. So there's absolutely no need to worry about SEO implications if you have a subdomain.
Just make sure that perhaps you've got all of the sitemaps submitted to Search Console, just so that HubSpot realizes that it can read all your sitemaps easily. It will find them anyway, but just submitting them to Search Console can help them to be found.
All right. So is that once we create the CMS inside HubSpot, do we need to do this robot.txt inside all those pages separately, or HubSpot will integrate that from their end,
HubSpot,
so that Google can crawl it?
They will integrate it their end. So HubSpot do a lot of that stuff within HubSpot itself. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, team.
Yeah, no worries. I've got another question. Oh, a few questions. Ananya, I think it is. I hope I pronounced that right. Do you have any suggestions for content tools that startups with zero marketing budgets can use in addition to HubSpot? I think, is it BuzzSumo? Which there's a tool that you can use to see what is being regularly shared. So I think
BuzzSumo, I think you have to pay for, but it's not.
No, there is a free element to it. We can send this. I'll send this as a link out afterwards and see if there's any others I can think of. But there's definitely you can use BuzzSumo to uncover what is being shared to a certain extent. If you've got any other free tools that you can sort of delve into to uncover some of this.
I'd probably use a free version of some of the SEO tools. So SEMrush, Moz does a really good one as well. They are fairly limited, but you can get enough from them that should help.
Yeah, we'll have a look. If you want to email me directly, you'll probably have had my email for this webinar. So it's gem@babelquest.co.uk. If you want to send us over any questions, specifically what sort of tools you're looking for, I can email you back about that as well. We've got a message from Ashley Kate. Are there any platforms you'd recommend so that sales teams can easily forward regular questions they get, considering there might be big teams and salespeople can be lazy? Yes, they can. Sorry, sales team, if you're listening again, there is everywhere. I think there are a variety of ways you can do it. We internally use Google Docs. So we have a Google Doc where anyone can drop a question in there. So over time they can build up. So that you could go as far as creating a quick survey form so that they have the link to that, and every time they come up with a new idea, click the link, put their new one and send it off. That could be another option.
Probably the quickest way to do it, if you have HubSpot integrated, it should all appear in the contact timeline anyway, but you could set up a BCC, maybe create an email account specifically to capture those questions that someone goes in and reviews. Depending on how open your sales team are to sharing that kind of information, may not want to do it, but it will definitely save them a lot of time because it's automatic.
Or if you just create like content@babelquest.co.uk, it's not an email address, but we could create that, and they could then just forward their question to there, and you could pick them up from there. Does anyone else have any more questions? I know that was a lot of information, so you may be feeling a bit overwhelmed. I don't think we've had any more. Let me see if I've got any more in my emails. Someone asked me before the webinar, I think we've covered this, but how many subtopics can you link back to a pillar page? They've said that they've seen you can link up to 25 to 30 as a max, 6 to 8 as a minimum. that 25 to 30 seems a lot to me. But if you've got a lot of blogs already, then there's no reason why you can't. The main thing I'd say is just make sure that you aren't overwhelming your user. I think that's the core message of this. Just make sure that you're not giving them too much to contend with. See if we've got any more come out here. No questions here. Done that one. Done that one. Okay, I don't think there's any more. If you do happen to think of any after we sent out these details, then please do send them over to us and we'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I hope you found that useful. We are going to send a quick survey around after this as well. It's like literally 2 questions because we'd love to know what else you want to hear about in webinars. We're going to probably do these every month. Oh,
Yep, we'll send the recording out as well and the slides.
Yeah, we'll be sending you an email with lots of useful links in there. Hi Giuseppe as well. Said hello on that. I think that's everyone. I'm not seeing any new questions. But yeah, like I say,
Nope.
Thank you very much everyone, and we'll see you soon, hopefully on another webinar.